sometimes life doesn't just hand us a curveball, listeners. It's like it drops the whole stadium on our heads. For Allison Pazuk, that moment came with a cancer diagnosis. But instead of following the standard path, she chose to go a little bonkers. And in doing so, she uncovered not just a way forward, but a radical new blueprint for healing. Welcome back, listeners, to this episode of the Mindful Living Podcast. I'm your host, Sana. And now, listeners, Allison is more than a survivor. She's a researcher, a truth teller, and someone who dared to question the script. From therapeutic fasting and high dose vitamin C to the power of mindset and meditation, she found strength in uncharted places. And today we'll be exploring what strength and mindset really mean in the face of fear. It's like the practical application, the execution, and how coaching ourselves through life's hardest lessons and seasons can look very different than we imagine. So, this conversation isn't about quick fixes. It is about what happens when you take your power back and maybe even rewrite the story altogether. So, listeners, let's get into the conversation. And Alison, welcome to the show. And I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be profiled on the show and to reach out to your listeners.
Alison, I must say, first of all, with cancer diagnosis, yeah, I think that's why it's very apt that you describe yourself as a perseverance expert. Um, so I'm really curious to know when the world fell apart with your diagnosis, what did perseverance look like for you in those first few weeks?
Yeah, it was certainly an adventure. It was when you just know something is off.
Mm.
And I just knew, but trying to get the medical community here in Canada to be able to understand what was going on as I literally was spinning in circles. So uh, I started looking for reasons. And yeah, I was using Dr. Google a little bit, but then recognized that, that just leads you into a spiral.
Yeah.
So, uh, one night after spending an evening in the ER waiting for the doctor to get my test results, um, he came in and he said, "Oh, listen, you're feeling anxious and shallow breathing, and you've got, all of these types of symptoms. Well, because of your cancer." And then he just kept going on. And I was like, wait, what did you say? I had not been told before. So, obviously my mind is spinning with what he's just said. And I'm reflecting on the past. And the first thing that came to me was, how the heck is this possible? Cancer is not in my family. There has to be another reason. So that then took me into more of my personality, which is I need to know why. I need to understand the cause because everything is figure outable. And that belief, that strength of there has to be a solution is really and truly what drove me into doing the research that I did and the looking for long-term survivors, and looking at what their path was. And just because you've got listeners, I imagine in the States and Canada and Australia and Europe and, all over the world really, but here in Canada, I don't know, and I think the States as well, but, long-term survivor is considered 5 years. That to me is not long term. I wanted the long-term survivors to see what it was that they did and see if their steps resonated with me.
Mm. And anything surprising or any kind of patterns that you saw when you did your research?
Yes, every single survivor did
Mhm.
something either in exclusion of or in addition to the traditional Western, uh, poison it with chemo, cut it out with or burn it with radiation. They all did something else. They either used supplementation, they were healing their spirit through meditation, or trying to help their souls by just listening to that inner voice and that intuition. Um, which I have to say, I was a teacher, career teacher, and very fixed mindset, very crusty. It's got to be my way. Math teacher. There's only one right answer, type of thing. So, recognizing this pattern of what long-term survivors did, it was diet, for the fuel for their body. It was the meditation and what they were taking in for their mind, and then their soul just figuring out what is important in life and who are they.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it was more as a um, holistic analysis of how it's not only about body, but it's about all the three of them here: body, mind, and soul. um and I think many of us, especially when it comes to perseverance, we kind of perceive it as this big heroic push forward. But what you shared, your lived experience, I think it suggests that it can also be patient, deeply internal, sometimes challenging the way you think or your belief systems. And this contrast itself is very powerful, because it's like it's redefining strength as multidimensional, not only looking from a single perspective or single lens.
Exactly. Exactly. And having that perseverance and that awareness, once you become aware of that, it's your responsibility to be able to act on it.
Yeah.
And when I was given that diagnosis and the whole room is spinning and the doctor's talking about a language that I'm sure made sense to him, but at that point in time, I had no idea what he was talking about, is that I truly felt bonkers. And so that word bonkers ended up becoming an acronym for me throughout that cancer journey. And so then that framework is now what I'm basing and sharing with people so that they can overcome any obstacle. And it doesn't have to just be cancer.
Mm. Mm. I would love to know, Alison, what exactly, how what exactly is this bonkers framework? Because the name itself, it is such a simple and very, kind of playful, and very surprising one. Um, but I would love to know. Our listeners would love to know. So if you can please share.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of time when I say going bonkers,
Mhm.
people think of a clown or they think of something like a circus or something fun. And
Mm.
it's definitely not that. When you're faced with something catastrophic in your life, it's more of the overwhelm and the confusion and the spinning in circles is where that acronym is coming from. So the first letter is brave because you have to be super brave and courageous to be able to confront people in authority, to be able to ask questions so that you understand. O is for open, and that is keeping open to what the people have done who are in the place you want to be in. So, if, for instance, you have a financial obstacle and there's something going on in your finance world, well, find someone who's on the other side and see what it is that they did and be open to their suggestions. And it is non-conforming. So, non-conforming, and what I mean by that is that you do not have to play by society's rules. You don't have to be stuck in those roads that are paved with good intentions. every one of the people in your life, be it your medical team, your family, your employees, all of them want what's best for you, but their solution for you is based on their perspective and their experiences. So, recognizing that and recognizing that their checklists, their treatment protocols, their solutions may not be right for you. And it's okay to blaze your own path, take the golden nuggets from everyone who's in your circle, and then choose what's right for you. K is for kick ass. And that's recognizing yourself as a powerful source of kick assery, blazing your future and believing in yourself. E is for emotional. And I have to say, this one was a really tough one for me. Um, the whole acronym of just listen, not acronym, sorry, the whole thing of just love yourself and, you know, uh, give yourself some grace, and that's fine and dandy, but it's really not something that I aspired to you. I wouldn't look at myself like eye to eye in the mirror. The only thing I used the mirror for was a reflection of the flaws that I could see.
Mm.
But if you can truly look at your reflection and read it as if you would a long lost best friend, and look at yourself in the eye and simply say, I love you. There's so much power in that. And give yourself a high five, as Mel Robbins says. Give yourself a high five in the mirror. So that's emotional. R stands for resilient, and that is believing in your strengths. Because resilience is not just about grit, it's not about the constant drive for things, but it's being able to stand up when no one else is clapping for you and recognizing that you are on a mission. And then the last letter is S, and this is the non-negotiable. This is the thread that ties the whole thing together, and
Mhm.
it's self-advocacy. It's
Oh.
about owning your body, your choices, and your experiences without apology. It's where you get to become the CEO of your body, your choices, your challenges, and essentially your life. And I'm not sure how many entrepreneurs you have on this show, but if you can just imagine the CEO of a business, if a salesperson comes to them and says, I've got this widget that is the solution for every challenge in your business, that CEO is not suddenly going to implement it into every single department. They're going to
Mhm.
take a look at the studies. They're going to take a look at everything. They're going to form committees of their managers to see if it's right and profitable and will fit their KPIs of their business. We never do that for our bodies. We don't sit and think about the different parts and the different departments in our body, and is this right for us? And that's where I encourage people to become more self-advocate, to be the CEO of your body.
Wow. I believe, this word, the way you explain, it's like a journey that you have gone through and you are still going through. I mean, you are right now, um, of course, in that self advocacy, phase where you have or you are becoming the CEO of your own body, your own self, and you're also helping others to, kind of embark on this journey as well. But it definitely started with, bravery and as well as openness because you, first of all, I mean, like you had to uh, come out of that shock, that realization. And then you also started doing your research. You started reaching out to survivors, long term survivors, and you started to go through patterns, what exactly kept them going on and on. So I think it's kind of your own journey, which has been compressed into this word bonkers. Yes, there are a lot of parallels I can make out of it with your own life.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, you're right. It's self-advocacy, I think, will be going on for the rest of my life. And I am intending on hitting my 110th birthday. It's only 54 years from now. So, I have a lot to do and compress in that time. And a friend of mine who is author Sharon Lecter,
Mhm.
she she has this saying of what you need to do is you take your mess and turn it into a message so it
Mm.
becomes your mission and you become somebody's miracle.
Mm. That's beautiful.
And that really stuck with me, and it has just helped me realize that what I've gone through, I have a message that I'm currently making my mission so that I get to become somebody's miracle.
Yeah, totally, totally. Beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. And I also, believe that, you are reframing strength not just as a this we often talk about toxic positivity or blind optimism or rebellion, but it is grounded, it is informed courage. Like, we are walking that fine line between risk and responsibility. So I think that's something which I can personally take away from here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one um, limiting belief that I had when I started going down this and when I wrote my book was that I don't want it to come across as a conspiracy theory
Mm.
that I feel that I'm better than the medical community and the doctors and all of the researchers that are looking into cancer cures because it
Mhm.
definitely is not that. It's the sacred and, that genius point between breathing in and out. It's the medical community and the traditional medicines and the holistic Eastern type of medicine.
Hmm. Great, great. And Alison, some people here might say that, all this research and then the other patterns that you noticed, like supplements, fasting, they are just distractions from the emotional reality of cancer. Do you think
Mm.
that you were sometimes avoiding the deeper feelings by focusing on strategies? Or have you been ever asked this?
I have not, but it is something that in the past couple of weeks that I have been recognizing. I'm being in discussion with another lady who is also from India, and she said to me, cancer is the disease of resentment, and you need to go back and recognize all of the traumas that have happened throughout your life and deal with and cope with the resentment that it created. And I'd never thought of it that way before, but I truly believe now reflecting back on things that whatever it is that an individual thinks and believes is a solution to their recovery and their wellness is the right one for them. And for me, it was understanding what cancer was, understanding what feeds it, understanding that stress most likely brought it on for me, and that I needed calm and peace and meditation to be able to listen to my intuition, that little voice that has been actually yelling at me for a while, but I just ignored it to be able to be in that matrix of life. I also found that fasting complements the chemotherapy. It makes it far more effective. It allows my body to take a pause on digesting food and be able to go in and send in the SWAT team and the cleanup crew to get rid of the diseased cells. So the steps that I took helped to make my immune system and my body whole, where I then can focus now on healing my soul.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense, Alison. I think it's not only from that scientist perspective, but also I think it gives that human touch in here in the middle of crisis. I think it's definitely a blend of both. So, Alison, before we wrap up, if our listeners they would like to connect with you and also get a hold of your book, what will be the easiest way?
Easiest way is to go to my website, which is my name, Allison, Allison, Pazuk, PAZUK.com. And in there, it's got links to my book, my blog, and newsletters and tips. And, this podcast will be on there. So you'll be able to see that as well.
Absolutely. And listeners, what I'll do for you is I'll make sure to have all these details in the show notes. So just refer to it along with this episode on whichever podcast platform that you listen on. And what I hear from, Alison's story, listeners, is that um, strength isn't about following single prescription. It is about willing to question curiosity within us, to feel our emotions within us, and to keep choosing even when the choices are terrifying. Self advocacy. Mindset, perseverance, and self coaching don't erase the pain, but they can give it a purpose. So, Alison, thank you so much for reminding us that healing isn't linear, neither is living. And thank you so much for, getting us going bonkers. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, listeners, if you are facing your own mountain, maybe the most mindful thing you can do isn't to stay calm or positive. It is to stay curious, stay open, and yes, sometimes go a little bonkers. So, thank you to everyone for tuning into the Mindful Living. Until then, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you and take care.